Surf the future of data.
Hey everyone, welcome back to DataSurface, the place where complex data concepts become simple and practical. Let me ask you something. When you hear SQL, does it feel like one long, confusing list of commands? Create, insert, alter, grant, commit. Yes, right? It feels messy at first. But here is the truth. SQL is not chaos. It is actually a very well organized team where every command has a specific role and responsibility. In this video, I'll show you how SQL is divided into 5 powerful sublanguages. And once you understand this, you will stop guessing which command to use and start thinking like a professional database engineer. Let's get started. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll understand the idea of one language, many powers. Then, we'll talk about why SQL feels confusing for beginners. After that, we'll break down the big 5 DDL, DML, DQL, DCL, and TCL one by one in a simple way. Finally, I'll show you why this structure matters for your career and what you are building next. Stick till the end. This mental model will change how you learn SQL forever. The first thing first, SQL is not just the select command. SQL is complete toolkit divided into smaller sublanguages, each designed for a specific job. Think of like a smartphone. It's one device, but it has a different apps like message, camera, maps, right? Similarly, SQL has different categories. One to design structure means create a table. One to manage data means once table created, like how we can manipulate the data inside the table. One to control security and one to protect transactions. So basically, how you can save the inserted data into the table or how you can control the security, which means like how you can grant the permission to the who can use that particular data. So same language, different superpowers. Most beginners struggle with SQL for one simple reason. They try to memorize commands without understanding the category behind them, like create, insert, grant, commit. So everything feels random, right? So, but here is the secret. When you know which group a command belongs to, you instantly know what it does, when to use it, and how risky it is. Structure removes confusion, and SQL is all about structure. So, meet our first team member, DDL, Data Definition Language. Think of DDL as a architect. Its job to design and build the house, like tables, columns, schemas. So commands like create, alter, drop, and truncate and rename to define the blueprint. So basically, create creates the new database objects like a tables, views, indexes, or schemas. Alter modify the structure of existing database objects like a add, remove, or change columns in the table. So drop command is basically permanently deletes the database objects along with their structure. So if you want to remove the table completely from the database, not only table, any database object will go with the drop command. Truncate removes all data from a table instantly while keeping its structure intact. So which means like there is a table called employee. If you drop that table, that entire employee table itself will be completely removed from the database. But if you truncate that employee table, only the data will be removed. The table structure still remain in the database. Rename changes the name of an existing database object. So the important rule to remember here is DDL basically changes the structure of database, not the data inside it. Right? I hope now clear about the DDL commands. When to use which one? What is the purpose of these commands? Right? Let's move on to the next one. Next comes DML, data manipulation language. Once the architect builds the cells, the librarian is going to manage the books. Right? Insert, update, delete, merge, and another one is insert all. These are the commands will comes under this particular group. Right? So the DDL is basically to build the table, whereas DML is basically you can manipulate the data inside that particular table. So the first one, insert, is basically adds new rows into the table. Update, modify the existing data in one or more rows. So basically it will modify the data from table. Delete, remove specific rows of data from table. Merge, inserts new rows and updates existing rows in a single operation. The merge is a combination of insert plus update. And another one is insert all. The inserts multiple rows into one or more tables at once. The fun fact, probably spend 90% of your daily SQL work inside DML, right? I hope it's clear now about DML group commands. So when to use which command? Insert, update, delete, merge, insert all, right? Let's move on to the next one is DCL, data control language. So this is your security guard. So it contains two main commands, grant, revoke. So the name itself is explaining, right? Grant, you give access. The revoke, you take it back. So this is how teams protect sensitive data and enforce rules. So not everyone should see everything, and DCL makes sure of that. So the grant gives user permission to access or perform actions on database objects, whereas revoke removes previously granted permissions from the users. Let's move on to the next one. TCL, transaction control language. I like to call this is the time machine. So the commit saves your work permanently. Rollback takes you back if something goes wrong. Save point gives you checkpoint in between. So this is your safety net, especially in production systems. So this is basically it will control the transaction. Either you are permanently want to store the data or permanently commit the transaction, you will use the commit command. If you want to revert the transaction, we'll go with the rollback. But if there are certain places you will perform multiple transactions, you want to put a checkpoints, you'll go with the save point. And finally, comes to the star of the show, DQL, data query language. So this is the detective. So it has only one job, find answers from data. So the select retrieves data from one or more tables without modifying the database. And it uses on legendary command is select. No changes, no risk, just insights. So this is the heart of analytics and reporting. So this is data query language, or you can also call data select language. Let's log this with the OREO framework. So observation, SQL has a 5 sublanguages. Reason, separation keeps systems safe and scalable. Example, developers use DML, DBS control, DCL. Outcome, cleaner code, fewer bugs, professional systems. So to remember easily, you can follow this framework. OREO, observation, reason, example, outcomes. So this map shows the full SQL life cycle. So if you consolidate all 5 sublanguages from DDL, building structures, to DML, managing data, to DQL, extracting insights, to DCL, securing access, and TCL, protecting transactions. So master this map, you move from SQL user to the SQL thinker. So this is how you can easily remember these commands without having any confusion. So very simple, right? DDL, data definition language. The name itself, it is explaining. It is a definition. You want to deal with the table definition, you will use the DDL. Either you can creating a table or modifying columns or renaming columns or removing entire data set from the table, we'll go with the DDL. Whereas coming to the data manipulation language. So whenever you want to manipulate the data inside that particular table, we'll go with the DML. Then DCL. Whenever you want to control the data in security aspects, we'll go with the DCL. Whenever you want to control the transaction, not data, like you are inserting 10 records into this particular table. Maybe 1 to 5 records is properly you have inserted. 6th record, you have something incorrectly inserted. You want to revert that particular transaction. So that's where you will go with the transactional control language. Then final one is the important one, data query or data select language. So you can select the data as per the business requirements, right? So this is why professionals are care about SQL sublanguages. Juniors write commands, seniors understand architecture. So this knowledge helps you debug faster, communicate better, and earn trust in real teams. So it shows you how database are meant to work. So you just organized SQL in your mind, and that's the big step forward. In our next video, we will dive deep into DDL commands deeply and start building real database structures together. If you want to think like an engineer and build like pro, hit the subscribe button and join DataSurface family. If this video helped you, like it, subscribe to DataSurface and continue your journey towards SQL mastery. See you in the next video. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.